The conference call will start in the next 1 to 2 minutes, guys. The conference call will start in the next 2 minutes. Once we'll put in the lecture mode, guys. The conference call will start in the next 1 minute. Once the conference call starts, I will put everybody in lecture mode, guys. The conference call will start in the next 1 minute, and after the conference call starts, I will put everybody in lecture mode. Before that, Kishore and Damodar from Pepon Inc., who are the sponsors of this conference call, can you guys make your announcement again, Kishore and Damodar? Kishore and Damodar, are you guys there? From Pepon Inc.
Yeah, Rahul.
You might want to make one more announcement before we go into the conference call.
Yeah, sure, Rahul. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining this call, and thanks a lot to Rahul and Emily.
You have to speak a little bit louder, Kishore.
Yeah, sure, Rahul. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining the call. Again, thanks again to Rahul and Emily for accepting our request and hosting this call. We would like to inform you that Pepon Inc. Is one of the major consulting companies in Houston, and we do have we provide trainings in different areas like Salesforce, Workday, QA, BA, different areas. So if you or any of your friends are looking for a consulting firm, please send an email to info@pepon.net. I repeat, it is info@pepon.net. Thanks, Rahul.
Emily, I want to introduce Emily. Emily is the host of the ImmigrationGirl.com. She's also partner in Reddy & Newman PC. She is in immigration field working with Reddy & Newman PC. She is the partner, which is Emily. Her name is Emily Newman. She has been with the firm from 2003. Emily, can you introduce yourself a little bit more and start the presentation if you are free now?
Sure. So as Rahul said, I'm a partner at Reddy & Newman PC, and I've been in the immigration field for over 10 years now. And I specifically work a lot with F1 students on various OPT issues. I'm actually a former STEM student myself before I went to law school. And so I recently, or actually several years ago, started the website ImmigrationGirl.com, where I provide practical tips and useful information straight from the desk of an immigration attorney. And I try to be very practical on that site and provide a lot of useful information that you need and without all of the legal jargon. And so we're going to quickly go over just some brief history of the STEM extension, some of the changes that are coming up, and then we'll try to just focus on the main points of concern that we know students have. We've been doing consultations with a lot of students since this new rule came into play over the last 2 to 3 weeks, and so we have an idea of what your most common questions are, so we'll try to get to those as quickly as we can so we don't bore you with too many details where you already know what's going on. So as you know, we have a 24-month STEM extension, and those that already were given the 17-month extension have the opportunity to get the extra 7 months, but not everybody was given that opportunity. You have to file the 7-month extension between May 10th and August 8th. So your time.
Emily, what do you mean that not everybody has been given the opportunity to extend the 17 months to 24 months?
Right. So we have special transition rules in place. And so only those people that are on the 17-month extension right now and who also will have at least 150 days remaining of their STEM extension are eligible to file for the extra 7 months. So in other words, if your OPT is expiring before October 6th, 2016, you won't be eligible for the 7-month extension. This is only for those that are currently on the 17-month extension.
Okay. And what is there a deadline for it, Emily, for those people who are on the 17-month extension to file? Let's say my STEM is expiring in 2017 January. Can I file in 2017 January, or is there a deadline for it?
Yes, there is a deadline. You must file your STEM extension to get that 7 months by August 8th. And on the day you file, you must have at least 150 days remaining. And so if you are expiring sometime in January, like before January 5th, you can't wait until August 8th to file, because that's going to leave you with less than 180 days. So be very careful about the dates and make sure that you're filing at the proper timing. You also need to make sure that you have your I-20 endorsed and that it's been issued within 60 days of when you're filing your STEM extension.
Emily, we've been hearing a lot of rumors about the third-party placement. As you know, that most of the consulting employees work with an employers who place their employees at a third-party site. We've been hearing a lot of rumors that they cannot be employed under the new regulations for the 24-month STEM extension at a different site other than the employer site. Is there a truth in it?
Right. There is a specific section of the new regulation. Actually, it's not in the regulation at all. It's in the preamble to the regulation, where the Department of Homeland Security reviewed the comments that they received during the rulemaking process and gave different answers to those comments. And in that section, it states that employment through temp agencies, employment through consulting firm arrangements that provide labor for hire, and other relationships that do not constitute a bona fide employer-employee relationship may not qualify for the STEM extension. So everyone sees the word consulting firm and assumes that means that that's the end of third-party placement for people who are on the STEM extension. And so, we've reviewed the regulations, we've reviewed the form, the instructions to the form, all the guidance from ICE and USCIS, and we find nothing that says that if the company is complying with all of the requirements of the training plan and there is a bona fide employer-employee relationship, then you should still be able to obtain the STEM extension.
Hold on, Emily. What do you mean to say? So do you mean to say that the consulting companies that place a third-party place can use the 24-month extension?
Possibly, yes, but again, they have to comply with all of the requirements. So first off, they have to be willing to do a training plan. So they have to actually have a formal plan in place.
Emily, have you done, or have your office done, anything where the company has placed a third-party individual and the DSO has certified and endorsed the I-20 as given as of now?
Yes, absolutely. We've done quite a few. As I said at the beginning, we've actually consulted with many employers in helping them set up their training plan, and lots of these employers are consulting firm arrangements that do have a bona fide employer-employee relationship with the students that they're placing at these third-party sites. So we've worked with them to develop that training plan. We've reviewed the 983 training plan form that they submit to their DSO, and every single one we have worked with has been able to get the I-20 so far.
Emily, can you explain me what does the employer need to comply with when they are coming to you?
Sure. So some of the major employer compliance requirements are first the commensurate wages. So this is a new requirement in the STEM extension regulation where the employer has to agree to pay commensurate wages to what they would pay other U.S. workers in the area. So we discuss what that entails and how they can document it. They also need to have a person that's going to be responsible for maintaining these training plans, for working with the students. Anytime there's a material change to the training that's happening, they have to work with the student to get a new training plan put together and submit that to the DSO. The employer has to make sure that within 5 days of a STEM student leaving their employment that they have to inform the school. And they have to make sure that they are complying with the supervision requirement. So the whole point of getting a 24-month extension of OPT meaning optional practical training, means that the student must be getting some sort of on-the-job training over this entire 24-month period. And so the employer has to have a supervisor available to give that training. It doesn't necessarily mean they have to give a class or like a lecture. It's on-the-job training, but they need to be available, keeping tabs on what that student is doing. So if they're complying with all of those things and are able to clearly state exactly what's going on in the I-983 form, then we've been able to get those I-20s endorsed from the schools so the students can file the STEM extension.
Wow, that's a good job. What if the student's degree is mechanical engineering and he is working for an IT consulting company? Were you able to get the 983 endorsed by the DSO in their I-20?
Unfortunately, no. We've actually recommended people not to attempt to get an I-20 in that situation because really there's no way that the employer can give the proper training to that student. The employer is, an IT background. The supervisor knows everything about IT and can guide the student in IT, but that is not their degree field. In order for a mechanical engineer student to be able to get a STEM extension, they need to be working for an employer that can give them training in mechanical engineering. And these IT consulting firms are not able to do that, so they would not qualify.
Emily, you said you work with the employers when they come up with a training plan. What if some of the employers don't want to comply with the training plan? Can you still get the 983 endorsed by the DSO?
No, the 983 requires the employer's signature. It requires input from the employer, and they have to actually do the training plan that they're putting together. So if the employer is not willing to cooperate and prepare a training plan and actually be in compliance with it, unfortunately, you would need to start looking for another employer who can provide that training in order to get your STEM extension.
Okay, I'm going to open up the floor for some of the people so they can ask the questions. First come, first serve. I'm going to open up the floor for the first 10 people who showed up. If I see any disturbance coming from their phones, I will have to keep them off. I opened up the floor for those people who showed up earlier than 7:30 Central Time. So you guys can ask the questions to Emily or to me.
Emily, this is Pepon from New England College.
Keep going, Pepon.
Emily, actually, the thing is, I want to know what is the bona fide rules means for the third-party employer.
Right. So what they mean by bona fide employer-employee relationship is the employer actually involved in the employment of this individual at a third-party site, or are they just finding them the job and then they never speak to them again and they just send them paychecks every month? They have to actually be interacting with the employee. The employer is the one that's responsible for finding the assignment and placing the employee there. The employer provides benefits. The employer provides the tools you need to do the job. And then the employer actually, the supervisor that you're working under, talks to you on a regular basis and actually is supervising you and guiding you and mentoring you while you're learning on the job. If those types of things can be satisfied, that's what's considered a bona fide employer-employee relationship compared to a basic staffing or temp agency relationship where you're just placed at a site and the employer never talks to you again. And then if that project ends, you're out of a job, which is not how it is in the typical third-party placement.
Okay. Emily, how can our DSO know that the third-party employer is a bona fide, is having bona fide rules and employer and employee relationship?
Well, I think it's based mainly on how the I-983 form is completed. There are various sections. The employer has to explain what the student's role is during this job. And then they have to explain in the employer oversight section and the measures and assessment section, they have to give a lot of detail into how exactly they're going to supervise the student when they're at that third-party site. And so if that information is not filled out properly, the DSO may question whether there actually is a bona fide employer-employee relationship. So I think that's mainly where they will be looking, is those boxes on the 983 form that the employer fills in, and then also making sure that the supervisor who's signing that form is an employee of the company that you're working for. Other than that, they might ask you questions. While they're issuing the I-20, we haven't had that happen yet. There are some schools that have kind of an online portal for you to fill in your information in order to request the I-20, and we've seen some questions in those portals that are getting at this issue. So there was actually a question on one of them that asked, are you working for a consulting firm that provides labor for hire? And so if you check that box yes, then you're not going to get your I-20. So you need to make sure to read those very carefully because, yes, you may be working for a consulting firm, but it's not one that provides labor for hire. That means you're an independent contractor. And it's also your consulting firm should have a bona fide employer-employee relationship that qualifies for the STEM extension. So I think those are mainly where they're going to be looking to determine whether that's being met or not.
Next question, please. I'm going to allow only one question for each caller. Next question, please.
Hi, Emily. This is Sharon.
Sharon, go ahead.
Actually, I'm a master's student from mechanical engineering. I just completed my graduation last December. I've been trained in an IT firm. I don't know. I've got to know this rule recently. Now, I just request you to give me what will be my next step to go ahead in a proper way.
Well, I think probably your next step is going to be looking for other employment, unfortunately, because I don't think most consulting firms, at least in the IT field, will be able to provide the training that qualifies in your degree field. So I would probably reach out to your school to see if they have any employers that are looking. A lot of times employers will actually go to the school and let them know they have job openings for new graduates, so I would check there. Maybe check with some of your professors to see if they need some research help that you can qualify for the STEM extension by working for the school.
I would not recommend you to take a risk and join an IT company because you will be violating your status. If you want to come to the computer profession, I would recommend that to join the college again in the software profession, get an MS degree, and then try your luck at that point of time. Don't take a risk because with all the regulations that are getting changed, even previously also when the STEM extension was 17 months and the 12 months of OPT was there, the rule was that you must be working in the similar fields. Yes, some of them got through, but now with the new regulations, we would not advise you to just dive into IT and not look into anything else. Next question, please.
Hi, this is Sai.
Sai, go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening, both of you. I got my master's degree in industrial engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And while doing my master's, I have six subjects which are selective. I did it in IT subjects like database, which are related to computers field. So, can I do my job right now for furtherly in IT sector, or is there any problem with my department major on the head of my OPT? Because on my OPT, my major is described as industrial engineering, if I do a software job based on a database or something like that, is there going to be any problem?
Yes. Emily, you want to?
Yeah,
what do you say?
Even though some of the coursework may be related, most likely in the IT work that you'd be doing, you wouldn't be looking at just those kind of courses. And so, they're going to want to see that you're using all of your degree in your new field. And I've actually gone through with several of the consultations I've done. I'll look at each person's transcript. I pull up the course descriptions for the courses that they took to see if there's any way to make an argument that they can qualify in an IT field. And most of the time I did not feel that would be accepted by the DSO.
Oh. All right, thank you.
Hello.
Next person, please.
My name is Nilima.
Yes, Nilima, go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to ask a question. Like, I'm doing my master's in IT field only, and through a third party, like a consultancy, I'm going for a software job. And if I have to apply for an OPT extension, now will I have a problem, and what kind of problems will I be facing? Because I have a background in IT only, so that I believe that problem is solved. But what else?
Well, your employer needs to comply with the training plan. And so if they've not already started working on a training plan, that's something they definitely should be working with an attorney on, and making sure that your I-983 form properly spells out exactly what it is that you'll be doing, how they're supervising you, even though you're at a third-party site. So those would be the main things, is making sure that the training plan gets set up and that the employer is in compliance so that you can qualify.
Yeah, it would be better to approach them right now, not get the 983 and fill it, because once you fill the 983, you get it endorsed by the DSO. It's only valid for 60 days to file the 765. But at the same time, you need to prepare yourself. Is your company going to comply with the 980 regulations? Are there any other students who are there who are getting trained? Are they getting the 983 form getting filled out? Are they cooperating with them or not? So I would not like to wait all the way to the end to see if I'm going to be in luck with them, if they would sign the 983 and comply with the regulations. Are they not going to do it? If you did not going to do it right now, you can join some other companies that are willing to comply with the regulations.
So basically, for me, I need to take care of whether the consultancy is ready to comply with the regulations of I-983. Yes?
Yes, that's right. You need to do it right now. You need to check with them right now. You don't have to have them fill the 983 form right now because you are on OPTs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but I would check with them if they are going to comply with the regulations. Next person, please. We're going to limit one question per person.
Yeah, hi. This is Venkat. I would like to ask the same question. Basically from the electrical engineering perspective.
I think electrical engineering is probably the one exception I would make. It's probably the closest to computer science that you can get without being in computer science. But I do think it is very case specific, and a lot of it is going to depend on what kind of coursework you took. But that is the more likely one that will work out compared to some of the other engineering disciplines.
Yeah, electric engineering falls very, very close to computers. It's very hard to differentiate between this and that, according to me, too. So I would be comfortable in taking a risk, not like mechanical engineer or industrial engineers. Next person, please.
Hi, Emily. This is Shweta.
Go ahead.
Yes, Shweta, go ahead.
There was a rumor that the supervisor must be present at the client site. So must the supervisor be present at the client site, or can they even monitor through WebEx or TeamViewer?
In the 983s that we've worked with students on, they've all been doing more WebEx or Skype chats, or it's all been remote supervision. So even though the only place where you see the word on-site supervision is in the instruction to the 983 form, it's not even mentioned in the regulation itself. And so our take on that is supervision can occur remotely, and it's just as good as being on site, physically present, as long as there's actual interaction happening on a frequent basis, where you actually will talk to your supervisor and meet with them just like you would if they were there with you. So no, I don't think it's a requirement that the supervisor be physically right there next to you looking over your shoulder, as long as if you're doing remote supervision, it happens very frequently.
Things have changed a lot in technology. Now we have the drone that is getting supervised on-site for a guy sitting in Virginia, and the drone is flying in Afghanistan. Now we have the command centers in a different location, different country, and they're commanding the entire thing. Have you not seen the Osama bin Laden, how that guy, how the command center has supervised everything remotely? So it is definitely possible for the employer to have the supervision not being there. That's our take. You have some follow-up question?
So we should mention about the WebEx and the Skype to the DSO in the I-983.
I would recommend that take it as a whole policy, not just mention the WebEx and the Skype thing, but there is also the training part, the how goals part. All other parts need to be complying with the regulations. If you're going to only say that we are only complying with the remote, the on-site supervision by using the Word, by the Skype, and or the WebEx, you are missing the whole point. I think the whole 9 yards need to be there. I would strongly recommend that the employer should consult their own lawyer before submitting. Now, if you submit a wrong form, you give it to the DSO, he rejects that form, then you're going to go back again with the correct form. That would not be a right idea. I would recommend that before you do anything, you consult your law firm, or the company should consult their law firm.
Thank you, Rahul.
Hi, Emily.
Hi, this is Krishna.
Krishna, go ahead.
My question is, I did Masters in Computer Information Systems. So when I apply for STEM extension, will it be any problem? Like I did 7 computer-related courses and 5 management courses.
But your degree is Computer Information System.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. You should be fine. You definitely are as close as we can possibly think about. Emily, can you describe that what are the other things that the student should be concerned other than the on-site supervision? Is that the only thing, or do you think so there are other things like goals and objectives in the training, formal training set up by an employer, which some of the companies are not used to?
Right, yeah, it definitely is all about how that 983 form is filled out, and all the sections need to be treated very carefully. So you have the, in the section 1 and 2 of the form, it's pretty easy, completed by the student. Section 3 and 4 are going to be completed by the employer, and that's going to be just basic information about the company with their main headquarter information. Usually it's going to be an HR person or an administrative type person that would sign in that section. When you move to Section 5, where you're talking about the actual training plan, you need to make sure that there are 2 sections at the beginning. The first, you have to restate the employer name again, but then right after that, they ask for the employer site information. And that is where, if you are working at a third-party placement site, you list the site name, which would be your client. The end client's name and the end client address should be listed in Part 5 of the training plan. Then they need to make sure that the person signing in Part 5 of the training plan is the technical supervisor, the one who's actually going to be talking to you on a daily or weekly basis and going over what it is you've been working on and guiding you on what to do next and helping you problem solve and making sure that you're learning through this opportunity. Now you get into the 4 large boxes where you have to fill in a lot of information. First is the student role, and that I would recommend that the employer fill out because it's basically asking for your job title and job duties. And so they should actually list out what your expected job duties are going to be over the next 24 months and the specific skills that are going to be used. And again, they should be skills that you have learned about maybe in theory in your coursework, and then it should be something that you're going to expand on and put into practice during your actual on-the-job training. And in this section, it's important to, yes, list the job duties, but they should be talking about it from a training standpoint or things that you plan to learn over the next 24 months. And then most importantly, you have to explain how these duties are going to expand on the knowledge that you gained in the school. And this is why it's so important that the degree be directly related, because you've got to be able to tie the job duties that you're going to do to the actual coursework that you took. After that is the goals and objectives section. This should be filled out by the student because this is personal to you, and your goals and objectives should not be the same the company.
Sorry,
Emily. So you need to make sure that your goals and objectives section is personal to you based on what your career objectives are, based on what courses you took, and what you plan to learn over the next 24 months. It's helpful if you can break it down into kind of 6-month periods. So after the first 6 months, I would like to be more, have better knowledge of X, Y, and Z. After 12 months, I should have done A, B, and C. After 18 months, I will have learned something else. And then after 24 months, I will have gained mastery of some other skill. And so that kind of helps it break it down and make it a little bit easier to fill out the goals and objectives section.
I opened up the floor for some more people.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, this is Prem.
Prem, go ahead. Prem, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you. I actually have my CPT from like 4 months, and I have graduated in the month of December. And my employer was same in CPT and as well as in OPT. And do training plan is really necessary for me after getting trained with him in the CPT for 4 long months?
Yes, even after OPT of 12 months, you still have to go through 24 more months of on-the-job training.
Okay. If you and employer do not think the training is necessary, the purpose of giving the 24 months employment authorization is defeated now.
Okay. So
remember that the immigration is giving you the 24 months because you and the employer are feeling that the training is necessary. Believe me, everybody needs training. I've been practicing immigration for 20 years. I still need training. I don't see why any person doesn't need training.
Okay. Do I need to get paid in the term of training?
In the OPT period of time, if you are getting the training, if you do not get paid, it is perfectly all right. But in the STEM extension period of 24 months, if you are not getting paid, then you will not be considered to be maintaining the legal status.
Okay. I also heard one more rumor from one of my students. I don't know whether it's a rumor or not. Some of my friends who actually have a computer science degree, but their extension got rejected just because the technology which they were working does not have in their course curriculum. So is that really true?
No, I don't think so. Anything will be in the curriculum what you're practicing. There are a lot of rumors outside there. Now let me explain you how it works out in legal field. 33% of the cases that we file in the United States are in the family law. But that's not a compulsory as for a lawyer at all when we do the law degree. So having that particular thing not being there, that let's say, for example, a person is working in SAP and that subject not being their master degree, I don't think so by itself is going to be automatically denied. However, as Emily was pointing out, there are a lot of different things in the form. One is that supervision. Emily was also explaining if the employer is conducting a training period, if the training period is complying with the training process is complying with the regulations. The whole 9 yards need to be completed. Just that particular software for which he is working is not there. No, I don't think so. That is true. Next person, please.
Yeah, hi, I am Suresh.
Hi, this is Raj.
Suresh, go ahead.
Hi, thanks for the opportunity to talk. I have done my master's in engineering and industrial management. This might be the same question, but I have a question like in my OPT I-20, which was issued by the university, they have given that the student can be employed if in related to computer hardware, software development, databases, and all those stuff. They have given a wording in the OPT I-20. I am working in IT industry, like quality engineer, automation engineer. Does it have any issues for my OPT extension?
Emily, you want me to answer?
I think
Emily?
that, yeah, you may have trouble getting the STEM extension, not because the DSO approved it earlier. It certainly was easier to show that you are working in your field if you're in any kind of engineering field and actually working in IT. But that was before the training plan requirement. And I think the training plan makes it really tough for an employer who's in IT to be able to say that they have the appropriate knowledge and staff available to train you in industrial engineering management. I do think that DSOs are going to be looking at that more closely on the STEM extension.
Just because the DSO has endorsed it on the I-20 that you could be working in software, I don't think so will have any impact on how the USCIS is going to rule. Now, believe me that even if the DSO has done at this point of time, even if you get everything extended, even if you get your H-1B approved, they can always question these things at a later period of time, that if you have violated your status at any time previously, I would not recommend that you take any risk in it. I would recommend that you stick to the degree that you are in without taking any risk. Next person, please.
Yeah, hi, this is
Malik here.
Malik,
this is Reshma.
Malik, go ahead. And after Malik, Reshma. Go ahead, Malik.
I got a question. I'm not at a third party client, but I'm with the employer, and I'm getting trained and I'm getting paid, but I'm not at any project. Can I apply for 24 months extension? I'm getting training and I'm getting paid.
Regardless, even if you're not at a client site, if you are working in-house and you're getting trained and your employer is putting together a training plan and willing to
there is no in-house project. I'm just getting trained. That's it.
Well, they still have to fill out the training plan and make sure that they can have staff available to train you and supervise you and mentor you and help you reach your goals. It doesn't require a project, but it does have to be paid. And so if they're able to pay you for that time and still give you the training even though you're not on a project, yes, you can do that as long as they're willing to comply with all of the whole training plan requirements.
So, Emily, do you mean to say that at the time of OPT also he needs to get paid, or is only at the time of STEM extension he needs to get paid?
Only at the time of the STEM extension.
Can you explain how many days of unemployment period is allowed in the OPT and the STEM total period, Emily? Are there any changes in the previous regulations to right now?
Right. So the previous regulation, during the 1-year OPT, you had 90 days, up to 90 days of employment. And then for the 17-month extension, you could have up to 30 more days for a total of 120. Now they've made it to where during the entire 1 year plus 2 years STEM extension, you can have up to 150 days. And it's not divided to where you can only do 90 days in the first year and only have 60 days in the last 2 yees. For the entire 3-year period, you have up to 150 days that can be used at any point.
Emily, and is there a requirement that in the STEM extension that the person need to be employed all 40 hours, or can they be employed beyond 40 hours? Can then be employed below 40 hours?
They can be employed below 40 hours. The requirement is a minimum of 20 hours. So especially if you're in a situation where you don't have a project, you may consider doing a part-time training at 20 hours a week, and then you can change it whenever the project happens and you get on the project. Then it can be changed by filling out a new training plan, because that's going to be considered a material change.
So what do you mean change the form? Do we change the form and keep it with us?
Right. The 983 requires any time there's a material change in employment, a new 983 is filled out, and it has to be given to the DSO. So that means a material change would normally be a change in your location, a change in your supervisor, a change in your goals, a change in your role, your job duties, your job title. Any of those things could be considered a material change. And so you have to fill out the 983 form, get your employer to sign it, and give it to the school in order to be in compliance.
Any other questions, guys?
Yes.
Hello, this is Raj.
Hello.
Reshma, can you go, Reshma?
Yeah, hi, this is Venkat.
Hi,
this is Venkat.
Venkat, go ahead.
Yeah, some people say that there is some consulting only the eligibility for the STEM extension. Is that right, or how can we confirm that the so-and-so consultancy is eligible for the STEM extension?
It depends on if they are complying with the regulations. If they are complying with the regulations, they will be eligible for the STEM extension. If they are not complying with the regulations, they will not be eligible for the STEM extension. You can ask them, are they getting the 983 endorsed by the DSO? Now, Pepon Inc. is the sponsor of this particular conference call. They are getting their 983s adjudicated, so they are getting their things endorsed. That's one company we can mention, since they are they are not the only company. There are a lot of other companies, but that's one of the company that we can announce it because they are the sponsors here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, hello, this is Raj.
Hi,
Krishna.
This is hello.
Ashok. Raj.
Krishna, go ahead.
Hi. Actually, I'm from computer science background, and my OPT has finished just 2 days back, and I entered into OPT extension. And recently, my H1 got picked and approved. So, what are the precautions do I need to take?
So you already got your STEM extension for 17 months also before May 10th?
Yes, please.
Well, there is no precautions for you. You're done. You got your H1B approved.
So next step would be the GC?
Yeah, go ahead for the GC. You can apply for the GC. Yeah. And make sure that you keep the documentation that in the OPT period and in this gap period, you've been employed in the relevant field of software, which most probably you are. But just keep the documentation, pay stubs, any training, anything related to those things.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, this is Shraddha.
Hi, this is Raj.
Shraddha, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. So what if my extension of the 1 year OPT is going to end up by this July? So what would be the earliest date I could apply for?
Do you mean to say your OPT of 1 year is going to expire in July?
Exactly.
You can apply any time before your OPT expires. Is that right, Emily?
Right, yeah. You should.
And how many days can she be employed after the OPT expires and before she gets a year? How many days she can be employed, Emily?
The OPT is automatically extended for up to 180 days based on a pending STEM extension. So it's always best to file it up to 90 days. I mean, the earliest you can file it is 90 days in advance. It's good to file it as early as you can because the processing times are right around 90 days. But even if it does extend beyond that, you can continue working for up to 180 days.
Can you file a STEM extension 200 days in advance, Emily?
No, only 90 days in advance.
120 days in advance, I guess.
I think they changed it to 90 actually. It's short.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry about
because
that.
at the starting of the meet, you said it is 180 days before the OPT expires.
No, that's a different rule. What she's speaking about is the STEM extension. If your STEM extension is expiring within 150 days, you can file for the 7-month extension. There are many different rules. One of the rules, what Emily said, was that if your 17-month STEM extension is expiring and you have 150 days to file, you have to file before 150 days. That's the rule. When in your case, though, since your OPT is expiring in July, not the STEM extension, in your case it is OPT, not STEM, is right? You have until the expiration of your OPT to file the extension, not 150 days before.
Okay. Thank you.
Next question.
This is Raj.
Raj, go ahead.
I have a question like how do we determine what is the degree that we are studying? Is it based on the CIP code in the I-20 or is it based on the different courses that we have taken and the certificate that we have got?
Why don't I ask you that question? What degree are you doing?
Yeah, I'm. My CIP code is mechanical, but the degree that I'm doing is subsea, which is very much related to oil and gas, and all the courses that I've taken are very much related to oil and gas. So, will I be considered as subsea or mechanical? Because my CIP code doesn't have a
the way engineering works out is that you have the major code, and you have the major, like for example, okay, in the computer science, in your particular thing, subsea, normally people don't go by subsea. It will be considered as a mechanical engineering. If you are working in anything related to mechanical engineering, you should be fine if the degree says it's a mechanical engineering. Emily, can you correct me on this?
Right. Yeah, I think that they're going to look at the CIP code, but if your degree is kind of a subset of that code, then working in that subset qualifies you, or working in the CIP code of mechanical engineering would qualify you. I think you could do either in that case.
Okay.
Hello.
And thank you.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Hi, this is Sandeep.
Yes, Sandeep, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I have a quick question. Does EVC or EVBC model works here?
Can you repeat again, please?
Does EVC, employer, vendor, end client, or employer, vendor, end client relationship?
That shouldn't be a problem for getting the 983 approval. Just because there is the employer, vendor, and end client, that by itself is not a bar for getting the 983 approved.
Okay, so does that mean directly prime vendor and end client may work?
That's perfectly all right. I don't see that as a problem. I'm going to keep closing the persons who are asking questions to open up floor for more people, guys.
Okay, hi.
Hi, this is Ashok.
Ashwin, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, Ashwin, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I completed my master's in Dublin, and I'm working since almost like a year. Okay. But initially I worked as CPT, then I'm working as OPT since last August. But initially I'm working with a consultancy, but now I'm full-time to another like cognition company. So how can I prove that I trained on something else? So
what degree did you say you are in?
I finished in W actually, but I'm working as
what is the W?
In electrical, I finished my master's.
Okay.
But I'm working as a project manager. So how can I justify? Because initially, when I was working as CPT, I mentioned that I was working as a UI electrical side. But now I'm working as project managing in a software company. So how can I justify?
Justify what? Training?
Yeah. How can I justify training?
Everybody need to know training. Everybody need to be trained. Even the president need to be trained.
No. Sorry. My concern is because initially, almost 1 year I worked as CPT with the consultancy, but now I'm working with another software company. So should I mention I got trained after joining this new company, or else do I need to give the details of what
Okay, let me ask you the question. You are in OPT right now and you are going to go to the STEM extension?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
When you go into the STEM extension, are you going to get trained? Or are you not going to get trained?
Yeah, obviously I'm going to get trained.
Okay. So you are going to get trained by your employer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Yes. Then they can file the 983 form if they comply with all other regulations.
Okay. Sure.
Okay.
Right. The whole training plan is going forward for the next 24 months. It's not looking backwards at what you've already done. It's what is the new employer going to train you on over the next 24 months.
Hello. Oh, thanks. I got answers. Thank you.
Hi, this is Venu.
Venu, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi. My name is Venu. My OPT is got expired on May 10th, and my STEM extension case is received on April 1st, and waiting for approval. Will my STEM extension will be approved, or should it will be request for evidence?
You'll get a request for evidence because I'm assuming you filed for the 17-month extension, and now they're going to convert you into the 24-month extension. We've started seeing those requests for evidence already issued for people that filed around that time, so you should be getting one soon.
Oh, okay.
And don't get the 983 right now endorsed, because if it takes a longer time to get an RFE, then once the 983 is endorsed, it's been more than 60 days, then that 983 is not valid anymore.
Oh, then I need to reapply for extension, or else
No, you don't need to reapply for extension. You need to get the 983 endorsed by the DSO and submit and endorse the I-20 and submit to the RFE response.
Oh, okay. Oh, then
just don't get it now. Wait until you get the RFE before you start working on getting that I-20.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Hi, this is Tejaswini here.
This is Samir. Tejaswini, can you go ahead?
Yeah. Hi. I just got my RFE from the USCIS while I was applying for the STEM extension. My initial OPT expires on June 18th.
Okay.
And in order to, and I'm working as a full-time in the software industry, which is my same as my major.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the RFE that I have received, it is stated that I need to submit a new I-20 for the 24 months issued by the DSO along with this RFE form. So are there any other documents that I need to provide the USCIS in order to create a strong evidence for my case to get further processed?
Emily?
No, I would only provide what they're asking for. So just it's the DSO that's going to be reviewing this. So you submit your 983 to the DSO. They'll issue you the I-20 if everything looks good, and then you just submit that to USCIS. You should not need anything further. If anything further was needed, the DSO would ask you for it. But you don't have to submit anything to
I would not submit anything other than they ask. They're only asking for the I-20 endorsed. And you submit the 983 form to the DSO, not to the USCIS. Since the USCIS is only asking for the I-20, you just submit the I-20. If they look into something that they don't or are not accustomed to, they get into a lot of doubts and they might look into a lot of scrutiny. I would not like to get my case scrutinized unnecessarily.
Yeah, but one more thing, the RFE even states that I should submit my employer's E-Verify form along with that. So do I need to get it done?
You need to submit that. Yeah, you need to submit. Anything what they're asking, you should submit.
Okay, and one more thing,
Ma'am, you said only they asked for I-20 and then you're telling one more thing and then you're telling one more thing.
This is a final, just a final query. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I graduated from the electrical engineering.
Okay.
So I think I need not provide any other evidence showing that my coursework is meeting up the STEM extension requirements, because the coursework is almost same as that of computer science.
You need to submit that evidence in the 983 to the DSO. Once the DSO approves, then you need to submit the I-20 along with the other documents they asked for, but not the 983 by itself to the USCIS.
Okay.
Got it? But to the DSO, you need to submit a lot more information. You might want to check with the law firm of that particular company to make sure that your 983 will be approved. If they do not have a training plan, if they do not have a supervision for you, then you will not be eligible for getting the 983 signed by your employer.
Okay.
Okay. Next person, please.
Hi, this is Santosh.
Santosh, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi. I have a two-part question. The first question is on Section 4. When you say DSO endorsement, you mean to say that my employer should sign the Section 4 part of the DSO endorsement?
On the 983 form?
Yes.
Right. There's two places where your employer is going to sign, and one is going to be signed by your HR manager most likely, and the other is signed by your supervisor. That needs to be done before you give it to your DSO. And that is Section 2 and Section 4.
Section 2. And in the Section 5, my supervisor have to stay at the same client where I'm working, or the supervisor can be remote?
They may be able to be remote, assuming that they can meet all of the supervisory requirements and actually comply with the training plan remotely.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Hi, this is Lata.
Yes,
I
Lata.
have a question on two parts. I'm currently working for a client, but I'm working at the vendor place. So I have two prime vendors in between, and my employer, and then the client. So this is a big loop, and then I'm getting supervision from my technical coordinator through Skype for Business. Okay, will I be able to go for extension?
You might be satisfying the requirement of the supervision requirement, but if they are also complying with the training and the goals and all other requirements of prevailing wage, yeah, definitely. I don't see that just because you have two vendors in between, that is an issue.
Okay, so that would not be a problem.
That by itself is not an issue, according to me.
Okay, because they have not given me any training. They have just hired me directly.
Well, you told me right now that you are getting supervised there and you're getting training there. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, let me correct you. It is a supervision of the technical coordinator that how the work has to be done and what they are expecting from us.
That
not
is
the technical training.
Training means you're learning on the job by doing the job. Training doesn't mean that they're going to sit you down and give you a lecture on how to do something. You're learning the job by doing it under the supervision of someone who knows the job better than you. That is training, and that qualifies.
Okay, thank you so much. That's the question.
Hi, this is Sandeep.
Sandeep, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sandeep,
so you earlier said you need to get your 983 endorsed by DSO. So my OPT is going to expire next Jan. So when is a better time to get it endorsed?
The initial 12-month OPT is expiring in January?
Yeah, that's right.
So the earliest you can file is 90 days before it expires. So that would be sometime in October probably.
Right.
And then once you get that I-20 endorsed, you have to file within 60 days. So there's 2 time periods: 90 days before your OPT expires, and within 60 days of when the I-20 is endorsed. If you meet those 2 dates, then you should be fine.
Please note, guys, what this gentleman asked is that his OPT is expiring in January of 2017, not his STEM extension. If his STEM extension is expiring in January, Emily, what is the rule if his STEM extension was expiring in January?
If the 17-month STEM extension is expiring in January and you want to file for the 7-month extension, you must file by August 8th. And on the date that you file, you have to have at least 150 days left of your STEM extension. So if it's expiring sometime between January 1st and January 5th, you need to file sometime in July in order to have 150 days left. If it's expiring after January 5th, then you meet the 150-day rule, so you can file any time between now and August 8th.
Okay, I will leave some room for the sponsors to announce. Kishore and Damodar, are you guys there?
Yes, Rahul.
You want to make some announcements? I just want to appreciate the sponsors, Pepon Inc., Kishore and Damodar, for sponsoring this event. Kishore, you want to make some announcements?
Sure. Thanks, Rahul and Emily, for providing valuable answers to all the questions. So Pepon Inc. is an e-verified company. So we do all the managed services in Salesforce platform and Workday and other areas. So we mainly focused on providing the quality trainings in various fields like Salesforce, Cloud, and .NET. So we do like a H1 transfers, OPT training. If you have any of your friends, please refer to us. Our email address is info@pepon.net, Pepon, pepon.net. Also, you can visit
peppon.com. I don't know how we got disconnected. Kishore, are you there? Damodar?
Yes, Rahul. It is pepon.net, only one P.
Oh, pepon.net. Sorry about that. Okay, just before we go into further questions, I want to announce Radio Newman PC will be available for private consultation for the employers only. If they have any trouble in filling their 983 form and getting endorsed, at this point of time, we are not accepting anybody other than electrical engineering or any degrees related to the software if they are working in the software field. You guys can contact Radio Newman PC. Our website is www.rnlawgroup.com, and our email address is info@rnlawgroup.com. If your company has any trouble in getting the 983 and they want to comply with the regulations, if they don't want to comply with the regulations, of course, will be the waste of time for them. If they want to comply with the regulations, you can contact us. And if they don't want to comply with the regulations, you have Pepon Inc. for you guys to go and join. Our email address is info@rnlawgroup.com. I'm going to open up the floor for a couple of some more questions, guys.
This is Gautam.
Hello?
Gautam, go ahead. Gautam, go ahead.
Yeah. At the time of my OPT expiry, if I don't have a job, will I be eligible to apply for OPT extension?
Emily?
Unfortunately, no. You need an employer to fill out the 983 form, so you have to just be careful of the timing. If you have a job and you're getting close to your 90-day period where you can file, I would file right away. And then if you don't have a job, then you need to work quickly within that 90-day window to find one that can sponsor can complete the 983 form and allow you to file that extension.
If you can find an employer who is willing to give you the training and is willing to pay 20 hours at minimum at the prescribed wage level, then yes, you can get the 983 endorsed though. But it depends on if the employer is willing to do all that for a future profits that he might be deriving from you.
Yeah, and just one more quick question. Do I need to get a relieving letter from the previous employer if I am moving out of the company? Is it mandatory to get?
No, it's not mandatory. But the new employer has to endorse the 983 form before. Okay. Let's say, for example, you are in a STEM extension of the 24-month STEM extension. 983 is filled by company A, and then you are moving into company B. You need to get the company B fill out the 983 form, get it endorsed by the DSO, but you don't have to go back to the immigration again and again and again. Emily, also can you describe about the enforcement provisions that came into this new regulations, Emily?
Right. So there's a couple of different ways that USCIS is going to be enforcing all of these new requirements and making sure that both the employer and the student are in compliance. And so one of those is when you actually file your I-765 application, it's possible that USCIS might send a request for evidence asking for the actual I-983 form or asking for letters from the employer to verify that you're receiving the training in the field that's directly related and that they're actually being paid. They might ask for pay stubs or W-2 forms. So that's one place where the actual enforcement provisions might come in, is just from a request for evidence by USCIS. That would happen either when you're filing your 765 for the STEM extension or even later when you're filing your H-1B to go from F1 to H1 next year. You may get a request for evidence asking for documentation that you maintained your F1 status during your whole OPT period. When that happens, they're usually asking for letters from those employers, pay stubs, W-2 forms. They may be asking for documentation from your school, especially if you did CPT, or information about if any online courses you took or how you attended your classes. All those things could be requested. And then finally, the newest provision is the possibility of a site visit. There's already a site visit program that happens for H-1B visas. That's where an officer will actually come to either your work location or your company location and speak to someone to make sure that everything that was said in that training plan is actually happening. And so in the H-1B area, it is USCIS officers that do those site visits. In the OPT STEM extension area, it is ICE officers that will do that, because ICE is the agency within Homeland Security that is responsible for all F1 status compliance. They're the ones that actually handle the SEVIS system. So even though you're filing your 765 with USCIS, it's US ICE that is going to be doing the site visits. And so they could show up at your company or at your client location to verify what was said in the training plan. Are you getting paid the wage that was stated? Is that wage commensurate with what others are being paid? Has the employer informed the school when there's a material change, and all of those things.
Any more questions, guys?
Karthik here.
Karthik, Hello. Go ahead. Karthik?
So,
Hello.
I completed my master's in mechanical engineering, but then I want to work in IT field. Even if my consultancy or even if my employer agrees to endorse my I-983, will you guys help me write a training plan which actually
No, we won't.
Okay.
If the first is, we're not accepting any cases for the mechanical engineering people to endorse by a software company. The second thing is that we will not write it for them if they don't want to write it. No.
They will accept to write it.
No, we are not accepting any mechanical engineering at this point of time. We will see some of the guinea pigs, how they are going to work out at, but we won't want to be the guinea pigs. We don't want our employers to risk themselves out because they are signing under the penalty of perjury. And we'll be wondering how they would be telling that we are going to supervise and we are going to have a training plan for a mechanical engineering in his master's field when they don't have the expertise in that matter at all.
Okay. Hey, hi, this is Samir.
Yes, Samir.
Hey, hi. So my question is there any specific limit on salary like H-1B that it's supposed to be at least like 50,000, 60,000 per annum? And the second question is, can we work with the staffing company? Like, you know the difference between consulting and the staffing. Staffing company directly hires you for their client, but your employer will be always staffing company. So can we work with staffing company?
Well, first question and second question. First question you want to answer, Emily, and I'll answer the second question, though.
Sure. So there is no set number for the wage requirement. The wage requirement is that the company has to pay wages that are commensurate with what U.S. workers would be paid at that same location doing the same type of duties that you're doing. So it's basically, they look at other employees of your company at that same location, which if you're in the consulting field, there may not be any others. You may be the only one for your company at that site, which means your company has to then look to what other U.S. workers are normally paid at that site. And they have to be able to document how they came up with that number and keep it in their records. So there's no set number, but they do have to figure out what is the wage in that area that normally is offered to U.S. workers in similar jobs.
Okay, so can we work on W-2?
Wait, let me finish. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me finish your second question. Please allow the other people to ask the question, though. The consulting companies and staffing companies, there is a difference between the consulting companies and the staffing companies. If a staffing company is just hiring an individual only to work for the end client, they do not supervise, they don't have any employer and employee relationship, they don't control the work of those individuals, they don't provide any other things, then that will be considered as a staffing agency. If you are working for staffing agency, you will not be eligible for the extension of the STEM, 24 months. If you are working for a consulting company, what does a consulting company do? For example, let's take the example of Pepon Inc. What do? They have a Salesforce training. They have a Salesforce enforcement. They have a Salesforce module that they train. There is a supervisor there that sits down and trains. Damodar in particularly is the guy who does that. He programs all those people, and when they go to the job, they support them. They make sure that they are working properly. They make sure that they're being supervised. They make sure that if there is any trouble that they get into, for example, young guys go into a very tough programming thing and they don't know what's going on there, they can always fall back into Pepon Inc. and they support them. That will not be considered as a staffing agency. Okay. Staffing agencies, in particular, if they are not supporting any of and they're not supervising, they're not supporting anything, they don't have any training program, are not eligible for STEM extension. But the consulting companies like Deloitte and Touch is a consulting company. Oracle is a consulting company. And Pepon Inc. is a consulting company. So these are the companies that will be considered as a consulting companies. They are eligible for the 983 or the STEM extension of the 24 months. Next question, please.
Thank you.
Hi, Anshul here.
Anshul, go ahead.
I have a question. The amount of time that I spent towards my OPT, does it account for the 6 years maximum validity period of H-1B?
No, sir. That will not count towards the 6 years period of H-1B.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Kushal here.
Kushal.
Yeah, I did my bachelor's in mechatronics engineering, which is a mechanical computer, which includes all the courses. And I worked as a system analyst in India for 2 years, and I came here and did master's in mechanical engineering. And I'm doing here my job as a system analyst. here as well. So is there any problem for me for the STEM extension?
Yes. Emily, you want to answer it?
Right. I think that, again, the employer is not going to be able to comply with the training plan because they're not providing you any training in mechanical engineering. They're providing you training in software engineering, which are not closely enough related in order to qualify for the STEM extension.
There are two different things. One is that your experience back in India has nothing to do related to the STEM extension. The regulations are provided in such way. Not that I am agreeing with it, but I have to live with it, okay? Now, you got a master's degree in mechanical engineering or a related field. You have an OPT given, optional practical training. After your degree, you are supposed to leave the country. But if you leave the country and you don't have the practical experience in United States working in the relevant degree field for which you got a degree in, your degree might not be that valuable. Henceforth, the U.S. government is giving you a 12 months of OPT period. Now, that 12 months of OPT period, the USCIS thinks that might or might not be that sufficient, so we're going to extend it by 24 months if you need training and experience, both of them, in the particular degree that you got in. You will be eligible to stay for those 24 months. But back in India, if you have won that award what Lata Mangeshkar has won, doesn't make any sense for you to do singing here. You got it? Because your master's degree is in mechanical engineering. You got to stick with that one.
Okay. Hi, this is Waka.
Next question, please.
Hi, this is Waka.
Mr. Waka, go ahead.
Okay. Actually, what if I'm a student from electrical engineering?
Are you?
I'm a student from electrical engineering.
Are you asking me what if?
No, I am.
Okay. Electrical engineering, like this gentleman was telling that mechanical engineering is the head field, but everything is a sub-fields. Electrical engineering and computers are kind of in the same boat. That is what we think so. Is mechanical engineering in the same boat? I don't think so. So you should be fine in getting the 983 if you are working in the software or IT field, let's say. Next question, please. We're going to take the questions for the next 10 minutes. Madhav, go ahead.
Sir, my major is technology. I'm from UCM, University of Central Missouri. My major is industrial technology. And I've chosen computer science subjects as electives. I have the option to do that. I've chosen 3 computer science subjects. So will it be a problem for me to enter into the IT field for jobs?
Yes. As I was been telling, your master's field is relevant just because you have taken some courses. Let's say, for example, you have some elective courses, you have taken history as elective courses. Can you work in history field? No. Answer is no.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Next person, please.
This is Madhu.
Madhu, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I did my master's in electrical engineering, and I got training. I already got training in SQL developer, and presently my employer is paying me as a in-house project. It is going to end in like a month, and my OPT will be extended. Like I need to apply for my OPT in July, as it expires in November. What is the thing I need to do?
Okay. Did you said your degree is in electrical engineering?
Yes, it is. But it doesn't have any subjects which are related to the computer science. But it has something related to networking and stuff like that. But I'm presently working in a SQL developer, as a SQL developer.
You see, when you are in the well, you think so that each hole is different. Okay? When we are looking from outside the world, inside the well, we all look that you are in the same well.
Yeah.
You got it? Now, if you are going to keep on arguing with everybody that you are not, every hole is different, there is not much we can do. But as of I am concerned, I think so you are in the same IT field. Just because if the hole is different in that well doesn't mean that you are out of that well.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that. And
sure.
While applying for my OPT, like extension, do I need to be in a project and I need to get paid, or after extension I can apply, like I can get into a project?
As Emily, you want to answer that question?
Right. In order to get the I-20 for the STEM extension, you need an employer to sign your I-983 form and to develop that training plan. Without having an employer able to do that, then you wouldn't be eligible. Now, again, as we've talked about, if you don't have a project, you can still have an employer train you in-house. It can be reduced to 20 hours per week and still qualify. So,
Yeah, I have the employer, but I don't have any projects at the moment. But I might get in a couple of months. By the time I would be applying for my OPT. So as you said earlier, in I-983 form, there is an option for client. I need to give the client details. So as there is no client, what I need to fill in?
If you are getting trained and you are working with the employer, you can give the employer's address for that period of time. And when and if you found a client and then you move to the client, then you have to get the 983 endorsed again. From now onwards, guys, this conference is recorded. If anybody is asking the repeated questions, I'm going to skip them through, and I'm going to give the recording to the sponsors, Pepon Inc., so they can send it out to the guys. This question was already answered, though. Next question, please.
Venkatesh here.
Venkatesh, go ahead.
I did my master's in applied engineering and technological management.
Okay.
Can I apply for, is there any problem for STEM extension?
Yes, there is, because you are in the industrial engineering field, is it right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Applied engineering and technological management.
What is that field in? What is your bachelor's degree in?
Bachelor's is electrical engineering.
So is that applied? Is it in a software field or is it not?
I think it's not.
Wow. That's a little bit controversial question. I think so you should have a private consultation with us, because that seems to be that if your bachelor's degree is in electrical engineering, if you're applying, are you applying it to an industrial engineering? Are you applying the engineering of computers and electrical? That's a question that need to be answered. I think so it's better to go through in a private consultation with our law firm or any other law firm. Next question, please.
Hello, my name is Srinath.
Ram here.
Srinath, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a quick question. So I did my master's degree in industrial engineering.
I think so we already answered this question of industrial engineering. Go to the next question, please. Please ask any questions that have not been asked. This recording will be provided to the sponsors. It's up to them to release it.
Hey, hi. Can we work only on full-time, or can we work on W-2 as well as on 1099?
No, 1099 is allowed. Only W-2. Part-time work more than 20 hours is allowed on the STEM extension. Next question, please. I'm going to go through questions very fast. Sneha, go ahead.
I'm working for my client, but I had one implementation partner and a vendor in between that. And will I be eligible for applying for I-93?
Emily?
I think we've already answered that question a couple of times as well.
Yeah, 4 times we answered that question. Next question. Recording will be available at pepon.in.
This is Santosh here.
Santosh, go ahead.
Hi. So I did my master's in mechanical engineering here, and I recently graduated, in fact, in May last month.
We have answered this question, sir. Mechanical engineer, industrial engineering questions have been answered. Next question, please. The recording will be available.
Krishna here.
Krishna, go ahead. Ask any question that was not done before.
Yes, please. My question is, I'm currently in OPT extension working in a data field. My H1 is approved. Once I enter into H1, do I eligible to work in apart from data related, unrelated. The coding related job.
What
does that affect? Does that affect if I change my field of job from in OPT extension once I get into H1? And that's the main question.
Hold on. Your OPT is you already got the H1B approval right now, is that right? Is that for a software field? What is data mean? Software, yes. What is your degree in?
In the computer science background.
Well, you're going to work in data, which is actually a software too, or an IT field, so I don't see that as a problem at all.
Oh, okay. Okay. And other...
I'm going to only allow one person to ask one question, please. I have only 5 minutes to proceed based on the sponsors.
Hey, Rahul, Ram here.
Ram.
Yeah, is it fine if you go with work from home projects right now?
Do you see that as a problem, Emily?
Yeah, I don't recommend it. I mean, it's one thing if you are being supervised, you're already being supervised remotely when you're at the client site, but if you're not on a project, you need to be coming into your company's location and actually getting the training. I would not recommend working from home.
No, he's working remotely. Why can't you go to the employer location and sit down there and work there?
Yeah, yes. So that my employer can be...
Yeah, that's going to be much better.
Oh, that's a fine option. Okay. And do I need to submit every document for all the vendors in between myself and the client? Like a couple of vendors, 2 or 3?
No, this is not an H-1B petition. You only have to submit the 983.
Yeah, the good part about it is that guys, that you don't have to get the end client letter at this point of time for sure. Kishore and Damodar, do you guys want to make any announcements?
Yes, yes, Rahul. This is Damodar here.
Damodar from Pepon Inc. They are the sponsors of the event. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Rahul and Emily. This is valuable information you are providing and answering all the calls. I just wanted to inform to the group, Reddy and Newman Law Firm, that is rnlawgroup.com, is one of the best law firm in the United States. We are happy to host this conference call. So coming to the Pepon Inc. is an e-verified company. We do managed services in Salesforce, Cloud, and .NET. We provide trainings in the various technologies. If you have any questions, please reach out to info@pepon.net. So you can also go through our website, www.pepon.net. If you need this recording, you can also send us an email. We will be providing.
And does your company do the 983 in the software field, Damodar?
Yes, we do provide 983.
And you have a training program for you?
Yes, we have exclusive training, and we are also starting one more batch this week, the coming week. So if anybody interested, they can also join the training.
Emily, you want to add any things to the conference?
I would definitely recommend if you are getting ready to submit your 983 form, if your employer has not been in contact with an attorney yet, they should do so to make sure that they are in compliance before you submit your form. You don't want to be in a situation where you submit a 983 form that's not in compliance and the school cannot issue the I-20. It's much harder to overcome that after you've already given them some documentation. So we would definitely recommend your employer to contact an attorney in order to make sure that they're in compliance to better your chances of being able to get the STEM extension.
Any more questions, guys? We'll take 2 or 3 more questions.
When we get
hi, this is Monica.
Okay.
Hi, this is Manasa. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Can we switch the employers at the time of the RFE? I mean, after getting RFE? Actually,
yes, you can.
Extension.
Yeah. So when you you would get the 983 form from your new employer and submit that to your DSO and get the I-20. When you're replying back to the RFE, though, you need to make sure that you update the 765 form with the new E-Verify number of that new company and the employer name, because that information is on your 765. So as long as you update that with USCIS while it's pending, that's fine.
Emily, that's a good question she asked, though. She has already submitted the 765. Now she got an RFE on it. Now she's going to get the 983 endorsed. How is she going to submit the 765 again with the new E-Verified number of the new company?
I would recommend filling out another 765 form exactly how you filled it out already, and just change the E-Verify number and the employer name, sign it, and then when you're replying to that RFE, you submit it as an additional document.
Okay. Thanks, Emily.
Like you're trying to amend your pending 765 application with the new employer information.
Okay.
And once my extension has been denied, STEM extension, does it affect my H1 or GC process?
What do you mean by your H1B?
H1B, like for now, like I'm applying for extension, STEM extension. If it is suppose it may deny, or they may.
Well, hold on. Why don't you look into? Let's not go into hypothetical scenarios. Why don't you tell me what is your scenario? Did you already got the H1B approved?
No, actually, it didn't approve. But next year I may apply for H1. And suppose if my extension here got denied, does it affect my?
When is your STEM extension expiring?
Actually, it is expiring this month, June 16th.
So if you're going to apply for the STEM extension, which you are going to have a 7-month extension, you'll get the decision way before April.
Yes.
Well, then you will be falling out of status if your STEM extension is denied.
Yeah, but there is another option. Like I can again rejoin into a college where I can get a CPT.
You can rejoin in a college if you are still in status.
Yes.
Is right? So if you're not in status, that means that if your STEM extension is denied, you will be out of status. Correct me, Emily, in the timings on that.
Right, yeah. It's a bit of a gray area as far as whether you'd have to apply for reinstatement to get back into school, or whether you are in the grace period where you can just re-enroll. And so it is very case-specific. So if you end up in that situation, you should definitely consult with a qualified immigration attorney at that point. But it's a little difficult to guess what could happen in the future and try to make strategies when you're not even in that situation at this point.
Okay.
Next
thanks,
question.
Thanks, Rahul.
Yeah. Next question, please.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. I am Preeti. I have a query. Like, I'm an unpaid intern in a consultancy, and I got my I-20 approved and generated for the same. But last week I got a full-time opportunity, and how do I go about it? Like,
are you in the OPT period? Or are you in the STEM period right now?
I am on the OPT period now.
So you got the letter, and then you have another full-time opportunity. Just go join the organization, show the EAD card that you got an approval from. Emily, can you correct me on this?
So you need to file your STEM extension, and you got the I-20 for that with the old employer? Is that what you mean?
Why is it for you? No. I am right now on OPT. My OPT started just 2 months back. I was an unpaid intern in a consultancy. They were training me on a tool, but I got my I-20 approved and generated the same. But last week I got a full-time opportunity, and how do I go about it?
Just
you have the seven.
You have an EAD card. You do need to inform the school that you're changing employers, but other than that, the OPT is there, so you can use that to join.
No paperwork is required other than getting a letter from the new employer submit to the DSO.
Okay, fine. So I don't need to send any training plan which I had initially in that consultancy to the DSO?
No.
No, you're in your initial OPT. You're in your 12 months. The training plan's only required for the 24 months.
Damodar, can you describe to the audiences how you're going to email the recording?
Yes.
Do they need to send an email?
Yes. So, like,
what is your email address?
Yes. If anybody needs a recording, if they can send us an email to info@pepon.net. Once again, I'll repeat it. info@pepon.net. net.
Okay, it's 1:04, guys. We've been having the conference call. We have to end it as it is 9 p.m. here in Texas. Thank you guys for attending the conference call. If you want to subscribe to the news you can subscribe our news at immigrationgirl.com. And thank you guys for coming to the conference call. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Rahul. Thanks, Emily. Bye-bye.